pieces like this, I don't know what to call them. I don't know if they're drawings or paintings. Some are a little more linear drawing-like, and some are more painter-like, I suppose. But these pieces, I've been doing these for about 6 years now. The pieces in here represent maybe the last year and a half, I think, of work. So I've been making these landscapes for about 6 years now. They're all on paper. Most of them are spaces or landscapes. I think of them as places I'd like to explore, I suppose. Some are interiors, some are outside. That's one of the few things that I plan ahead of time, I would say, whether or not it's going to be inside or outside. Some pieces like this, I'm going to walk around and point at things a little bit. This was originally going to be a part of a series. There's a few other interiors around. I was going to do a whole house or a mansion where all the different rooms were represented in a different piece. But those take a lot longer and they're a lot harder to make, so I stopped doing it and focused more on doing ones like this that are a little simpler. We'll call them vignettes because they're kind of floating, I guess. So I've been focusing more the last year or so on making these floating pieces where they have white around them. They're also kind of a pain because it's really hard to keep the white. So if you look closely at some of them, you'll see that I've whited out little mistakes I've made. Shouldn't have said that. You'll also notice while we're talking about mistakes, there's a lot of, I've been collaging more, and I think I'm going to go in that direction. Actually, my plan for after this show, this is kind of like it's like a turning point, but I'm going to start to focus more on collaging pieces, compiling lots of different washes and textures and patterns, and then collaging them. Speaking of, this is the last piece I made here. That's probably the most collage-like piece. I'm trying to get away from drawing because I was feeling like in certain pieces, like maybe this, well, I like it. They get a little doodly for me, or I'm not really looking at them and thinking about them, making decisions where I'm just kind of sitting there drawing and drawing and drawing. So I'm trying to kind of take a step back and get away from lines. So hopefully my next group of pieces will be more like this. The collaging started out as a way to also cover mistakes. For instance, this part here where it's all cut out, and then I put a piece under it. I did that because I didn't like how it looked. So rather than reworking it or painting over it, which can make it look a little forced or like it's actually covered, I've just been cutting it out completely and trying to put stuff under it. And it started out as a way to, like I said, to fix mistakes, but I kind of like how it looks, so I'm going to go with that for now. And so this is what I've been doing for the last year and a half or so.
What's your process in creating these? Do you sketch it out?
No.
As a reference?
And I don't like to plan anything. Except, well, I do, like I said earlier, I'll decide, okay, I'm going to make an interior, or I'm going to make one that's like, that's my mom over there. I made one for her that is very natural looking, and when I sell prints and stuff, it's always the most popular one. So sometimes I'll go, I want to make one that maybe I can make a print out of because I'll have an event coming up. So with those, I'll kind of have an idea of what they're going to look like. The ones that I enjoy doing more tend to be the ones that are less popular with moms and other people. And those, usually I start out with more of an experimental approach where I'll do some washes on wet paper, see how it goes, and then from there I can then build on that. But usually it starts with a wash. Let's see, like a piece like this, for instance, that was all, like these here were from wetting the paper, putting the ink down, having no idea what's going to happen, and then building on from that. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I probably throw away about half of the ones I start, or I kind of want to repurpose them for other pieces. But yeah, not a whole lot of planning. I didn't like that about art school. They always wanted you to have a plan beforehand.
Do you have like examples? You said some of the more natural ones, the ones that are like more popular, and the ones that you
like the ones
more.
that
Which ones those are?
Well, the ones I've been liking more the painterly ones and the collage ones. Yeah, something like this I like doing a lot. And even these two.
Yeah.
But when I do prints of these, how you doing, Kim?
Good, man.
Good. Pieces like this. For some reason, when I do art events and fleas and things like that, they don't sell as well. I don't know if it's because they're more abstract or less representational.
I like them more. I wonder though, with some of these, like, I think this is a good example, these two that are right here, this amusement capacitor and Annihilation Island or whatever that is. Are you in front of an amusement park? You talked about like these are places that you might want to explore. Like, are you at these places? Are they from some sort of like referenced material in your head, or are you just?
There was a roller coaster theme that was going for a while. I put roller coasters in a lot of them. I don't love roller coasters. I mean, I actually went to Kings Island this summer for the first time in like a decade, so I can't say that I'm like a roller coaster guy, but I do like drawing them. Yeah. And there's that whole tedious drawing all the lines. I love making like a brick pattern. I could just draw that for hours. And I don't know, but that's also something I'm trying to move away from because I feel like sometimes I'm like just doodling and not thinking or looking as much. So.
Why is that a bad thing?
I don't know, because I just feel like there's like a negative connotation with like doodling. You know, I don't know. I think that from being a kid, doodling in class and getting in trouble for it and stuff like that. So like. More painterly stuff seems to be a little more mature to me, I guess. But you know, sometimes I'm feeling kind of immature, I guess, and I just doodle, so I'll do that too. Not a whole lot of planning.
You talk about like the vignettes, you call them. They seem to like have a frame already inside this like square frame. Is there a reason for it? Because the internal spaces, these mansion spaces, they like are filling this paper. I don't know. You know why? Like, why is it that they're sort of framed? These aren't as great examples as some of these.
I know what you mean. Like, let's go over here. These ones. Yeah. Sorry, guys, we're moving around a lot. I think it was Ken's idea well, first of all, thanks to Ken, because Ken has been awesome at like piecing pieces together and grouping them together in a way that they look good. Where I was just
together.
Yeah, but
during the process.
Yeah, you have more insight into it. I was just like, put them there, and let's go. So he had a better idea about like, okay, these ones all kind of have a similar composition, but they also, and I never really thought about this, the way they kind of point to one another, the way that this one's pointing down, and this one's pointing this way, so you can group them together like that. And I do think about that. I know that most of these pieces are going to go into a frame that's this size, so that's all. I have little frame templates and stuff in my room, so I put those up and make sure that they're going to fit that, and I center them. And so, yeah, I mean, I do want them to just look good in a frame like these, and these frames are pretty expensive.
Were the mistakes an impetus for doing the collage, or were you collaging for a while before you started exploring that?
I didn't start collaging until I had to cover stuff up.
Yeah.
And then I learned that I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And liked what it can bring to a piece. Because I used to cover stuff up by putting layers of gouache on it, and it would get that caked kind of look. And I didn't think that looked cool, so I started just cutting it out and pasting it on.
The ones that are like the secret collages, like the ones that you have to look at for a while before you actually realize that they're collage. There are like several that are like very subtle in that, and I think those are really awesome. And I was curious if there were specific ones that were mistakes, as you called them, that you turned into collages, or if there were ones that you just decided to go that route.
There are some that are, I would think, deliberate. Because especially working with watercolor, once you get like that foundation down, you can't change the the palette as much because you paint on it, but that original palette still shows through. But if you glue something on, you can completely change like the color combinations and how they relate to each other, I guess. So that's another cool aspect of collaging. I'll also be working on 3 or 4 pieces at the same time, and I'll notice that I'm using the same inks, so they'll all kind of have a similar look. So I'll be like, well, this one needs to change I don't like to make a lot of pieces that look the same, so they all kind of look the same, I guess. But so I'll deliberately take something from a completely different palette or color scheme and then add that to it. And yeah, I think it works pretty well.
How long does one of these take?
Well, some of them I will sit on for months, and they'll be, like I'm usually working on about 5 or 6 at a time, and I'll just get really, like, for instance, I think this one, which is probably the most work I put into any of them, there's a lot of cutting. If you look up close, you can see there's like stuff cut out and put on. I couldn't figure that one out for the longest time. I hated it. I thought it was gonna die. I thought I was gonna like throw it away. And then I ended up cutting out a couple pieces and it worked. So that one probably sat around for 3 months. I probably put about 4 or 5 hours into it. Smaller ones are probably anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. I don't know, it's a hard question to answer. Yeah. Because I'm always working on 5 different pieces, I never think about it like I sit down and work on this one for 2 hours and then 2 hours tomorrow. I might work on it for 20 minutes and then not work on it again for a month. So too much time probably.
I'm surprised to me it seems like a little amount of time for the effort that kind of comes
Yeah.
through when you're looking at them.
Oh, really?
For what it's worth, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable.
Yeah, like it's about 1.5 years. So what's that come to? It's about 30 pieces. I don't know, a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there pieces that you have that aren't in this show? Because I mean, you're obviously pretty prolific and.
There were, I think, 2 pieces that I brought that were intended to go up that we decided didn't fit well with the rest. I haven't really done it. No, I don't really have a whole lot at the house right now. I kind of brought everything. Better here than my basement.
The one on the far end, it's astral collision, right? Or no, am I mistaking it?
Is that the one you bought?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there specific inspirations behind that one?
That was one of the ones I was trying to make look a little more natural. I think it kind of has like a southwestern feel to it.
Yeah.
But no, I think, let's go over there. I think these 2 are companion pieces. I think of this as more, for some reason, more like masculine to me, or like rigid, and that's more the like the sister, so they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
I created that one came first, and I thought it was pretty cool, and then I made some prints of it, and people loved it, and so it did really well. So then I made this one kind of as an answer to it, and this one as well came along around that same time, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how these ones turned out. This is probably my personal favorite. That's kind of the direction I want to go. A little simpler, a little more, I guess, deliberate looking than some of the more working ones. I'm kind of liking the ones that look like they take less time or quickly to kind of spell into place rather than be drawing for hours.
Do you sometimes have specific locations in mind that are like inspiring to you, or that you want to like emulate, or are they like imaginary ones that you've created?
I find myself putting a lot of mountains in them. I don't know why. I like mountains, but no, they're pretty much imaginary. Yeah, that's it for the most part.
I noticed a lot more color than your previous works. Even though some of them have some of the styles you were doing a couple years ago, it just seems you have a lot more vivid colors than you worked with before. Do you think you do? Do you think you're using?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I've been spending more money on ink Well, the big thing that happened was I applied for a grant and got it. So that was nice to have money that I wasn't quite as cheap when going to the art store with that. So I bought more inks, bought more watercolors, and now they look cooler. So
Oh, I like them. I really like the colors.
happy to say that.
You paying her or something?
Any other questions for Aaron?
Are you planning on working like on a bigger piece?
Yeah, actually, so my plan, it's funny how it happened, like right at the end of this body of work where I was getting things done, I ran out of paper. Because with that grant, I'd also bought this huge roll of watercolor paper that lasted me over a year. So I have no paper at home right now, so I'm gonna buy another one of those, and for the next month or two, I'm just going to paint with watercolor and make different colors, different patterns, and then kind of my plan is to just collect all these different pieces before I set in to actually make any work. Then I'm gonna go cut my paper, make work, and then use those pieces as the collage foundation, I guess. So looking forward to that. I haven't really been making any art this month. Miss it.
Well, thanks so much, Aaron.
Yeah.